So here it is, all hooked up. There's the tank. Sitting on top of the lid of the tank is the dehumidifier. It's tied to the ceiling for stability or earthquake or who knows what. Hose goes out the back of the dehumidifier, goes into the bucket, drains out the bottom. This is just MacGyvered together with coat hangers, so it hangs above the level of the water. So when I want to feed the laundry, I just take it, put my thumb over it, pour it in, and then dump a little extra in there, and then dump a little extra in there, and then hang it. And then it's got the overflow, an overflow right there, comes out the back, and goes into the floor drain. So do this kind of thing on the end. So here's how we made this happen. We started, here's a little glass of wine, but what we started with is, these are basically the tools you need: screwdriver, drill, with this kind of situation, a pilot and a pilot drill, and plus a, I don't know what you call that thing. It has to be big enough, obviously, to accommodate the bulkhead opening. So you want it big enough so that it can accommodate this, but not so big that the washers don't cover it. And essentially what happens is I take this bulkhead thing, I put it on the outside of the plastic, I take a Sharpie, I draw a circle on the inside where my finger is, I establish the center of that circle, I use this drill bit here to drill a hole, and then I'm going to attach this to the that hole, and you can see that I've done that for the other part of the outflow, not the overflow, but the outflow part of it. So you can see that, hopefully. And I'm going to use Teflon tape to take this piece here. So I'm going to take Teflon tape, take this piece here, wrap Teflon tape around this, screw it in, and then comes the hose, and you've already seen how that works. And this here, I'm going to do the same thing to it. It's going to be the overflow, and the hose is of course going to go from the back to the either the floor drain here in my basement, or that kind of more stack looking flow, and I chose to use that because it's just more hidden in the back. So other parts you need, I just shortened my garden hose because I didn't actually need it as long as I needed it as it was. So I cut off 3 lengths of garden hose. One, the shortest length is going to go from the dehumidifier to the tank, and then the longest one is going to go from the overflow of the tank to that drain that I just showed you, and then the 4 or 5 foot one is going to go from the outflow on the bottom here to be used whenever I want to fill my washer right there. Notice it's not a top loading; it's front loading. It works just fine to pour in water. I've been doing that for a couple of years now. Just taking my dehumidifier there, emptying the bucket into something like that, right. Can I show you right there? And then just literally throwing that water into the laundry. I find it helps to have a towel right down so it catches the drips. And normally I might even half load it a little bit before putting the water in, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, the other parts that are here, so when you want to convert your hose to give it a nozzle, you just have a kind of a female attachment like this, and you put that in the end of the hose, and then use the hose clamp. And sometimes it's easy to forget to not put the hose clamp on first before you add this. I'll show you that. And this here is interesting. A friend of mine suggested this. This is just a silver chain that my wife isn't using, I attached it to a PVC coupling because I didn't want to lose it. But this may hopefully keep the water clean in my tank, because silver has antibacterial properties. We'll see if that works. Okay, here's a little word to the wise. As I was tightening that, I over-tightened it, and I cracked this totally off, which means I have to make a whole nother trip to the store, which is kind of a bummer, but live and learn.